Hey everybody, this is Elsid932 on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. I am here with Little Black Book 91. We are doing our weekly recap of Married at First Sight Australia. If you can, take a moment, like, share, subscribe to the channel, both channels, and leave us a comment. We do like to engage with everyone. And let's just say, Australia is engaging. Australia has been very much engaging for all of us. They have twists, turns, and one of my favorite items have come back for this season, which is the partner swap. That's what we'll be talking about today. But Kojo, let me know what you thought about this week.
Yeah, no, really good episodes this week. I think we got to see the swap this week, and so we saw obviously Elliot pair up with Rye and saw how that played out. You know, she really got to understand him. We got to see, you know, a redemption arc for Elliot, almost kind of full circle, where he, you know, he's showing that he's actually a decent human being and a decent partner. And then we kind of see the villain arc kind of fully finished with Veronica. Starts off trying to humble him and then quickly realizes she's been humbled herself. And then, you know, I think it was just really good to kind of see all the other couples. Dave and Jamie one, of course, we'll talk about as well, because that's on a whole 360, but I think it's been coming. You know, there's some key words that were being said by both people that I think need to be discussed. You know, Paul, again, once more, missing the mark. I'm actually starting to question. It's like, I kind of understood his point a little bit, but then also at the same time, I said, this is how people are going to start labeling you an abuser, because we are now punching walls, and now we're doing this where we can't see what we did wrong here. Yeah, we're going to start labeling you an abuser. We're going to start labeling you manipulative, and I think it's, you know, it will be fair to say. I think we also got to see Jeff and Rye, they're still doing really well. Obviously, Jeff then switched with Jackie. Jackie getting excited about Jeff being the server. Listen, he had to deal with you for 3 days, darling. He was doing his utmost best to be his best in front of you. Okay, that boy, Jeff is Jeff. We need to talk about Jeff's sly dark arts, because the past few weeks I've been noticing him slyly digging at other people, specifically more Ryan than anybody. He tries to almost one up him, and him serving her for 3 days was one upping him. So I'm not remiss to not miss Jeff's dark arts. He's not missed on me. And then obviously Adrian and Athena, which again I want to say, which is just absolutely went from, you know, completely, you know, messing each other up, and then now suddenly we're back in a place where we're good, but we haven't actually discussed the actual issue and worked it out. We've never seen a resolution. Have you noticed that we don't ever see resolutions with them? They just suddenly get back together again. You know, it just shows again a real lack of actual relationship between the two. They're just having sex. I'm just gonna be honest with you. They're just literally, that's all they're doing. And the experts are not picking up on it either to really call them out. They're just happy to have a couple that's still together. Yeah, for me that's not it. Then obviously the other couple, Beth and TJ, yes, Beth and TJ. Yeah, TJ don't wanna, and he needs to start being honest about it. All this nonsense that he's talking about is nonsense. TJ, be honest. You don't wanna. Okay, all right, because all this talk about, you know, I know she wants me to attract it. I get it. No, I want to be desired too, but you give me that chance, I'm gonna slide in. So the fact that we've done it one time and then not do it again, I'm not saying that she hasn't got any part to play, but I'm just saying, TJ, be honest. Okay, all right, you give it a one over, made her look feel good, and then you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this too much because, you know, I don't really like her like that. So that was what my thoughts were, and I think that's all the couples have gone through as well. But yeah, it was interesting.
Let me get your summary as well. Life is Reality. What did you think about this week? We are going to go in depth, but what did you think about the partner swap is back?
Yeah, the partner swap was interesting because, especially for Elliot, you know, with his partner being friends with Veronica the whole time, and obviously getting her side of things, Elliot kind of surprised her with the way he was. So that was the first thing that stood out for me. Obviously, we have Dave and Jamie. Their relationship's gone from bad to worse. Well, from good to bad to worse. She feels like she's been duped the whole experiment now. So the narrative is, was he faking the whole time? So that's a demise that just came like very quickly and out of the blue. Also, French dude, what's his name? Paul, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Now he's in serious hot water because he betrayed his partner by calling her judgy and saying a few things about her that she doesn't agree with. So their relationship's in serious trouble. Jeff and Ree, I think they're coasting along. Jeff seems a bit smug because of where his relationship is compared to how all these other relationships are crumbling around him. Let me think. Who else did I miss? Oh, and Athena and Adrian, is it? Yeah, I think that they've managed to turn it around this week, but I'm still not buying how far they're going to go. We still have a lot of unanswered questions about how he's going to handle being a stepfather if they were to work out. So even though they may be on good terms this week, it's been turbulent enough for me to have major concerns despite the wife swap, and then come back together. Yeah, so and TJ, he ain't feeling his bride either. There's no way. And she definitely is attracted to him more than he is to her. I don't think he's ready to say it, but I don't see them lasting too long. And the thing is, they're one of the latest couples to join the experiment, so there wasn't really much time. Time's been working against them from the start anyway. But
Right.
I don't see them making it.
Right. So let me put this is the banner with all the couples. So let me let everybody see these are all the couples that are still there. And for the partner swap, we had Jackie with Jeff. We had Beth with Ryan.
Yeah.
We had Elliot with Rye. Adrian was with Jackie. Paul was with Athena. That had its own caveat. Veronica with Dave. And Karina with TJ. So now that everybody can see all of our couples on the screen, you kind of see how they were swapped. And I wanted to go through the commitment ceremony order. So if we could talk about the first couple, which was Adrian and Athena, and we could talk about their week. And what happens, everyone, is that Athena's twin sister had a whirlwind love affair with Paul. They are identical twins. So Paul's current wife, Karina, has an issue with that because he's basically going to be looking at the face of a woman he used to date. So Karina, couldn't even fathom this partner swap because she's like, he's going to be cohabitating visually with an ex. So she had to go calm herself down before she moved over to TJ. But Athena worked with Paul, and Paul had a scathing letter that we'll get to when we talk about Paul and Karina. But yes, Adrian and Athena, their honesty letters, they say that the disconnect has been repaired. We don't see it. They say they're back together again. We don't see it. And it's like they both say stay, but we're like, we don't know the turnaround, and we have not heard him and how he'll be a stepdad. So, life is reality. You want to dig deeper into Adrian and Athena?
Uh, Adrian and Athena, like I said, it's definitely papering over the cracks of their relationship. The physical intimacy side of things. It's keeping them together, but ultimately can't rely on that. The stepdad component, I get it. It's an experiment. It's a whirlwind. It's a short space of time, but still, that is one of the most important things to Athena. So it needs to be ironed out in order for them to proceed. So I don't know. Maybe they're having more conversations off camera, but from what we see on camera, they're not really discussing that. And he doesn't seem mature enough to meet what Athena's looking for in a stepfather.
Kojo, what are your thoughts with Adrian and Athena and their week with their swap? Because Adrian also was attached to Jamie, and though Adrian gave Jamie a lot of hard truths, I don't think we saw Jamie give him a lot of hard truths.
Yeah, no, the changeover was interesting. Obviously, Adrian kept it 100 with Jamie, and I think it definitely helped her have a better perspective on her relationship with Dave. And that's where she has to hold herself accountable, but we'll talk about that in a sec. But Adrian obviously definitely did a good job, and I think obviously the foundation of their friendship started birthing. We saw it when they got the getaway and they started teaming up with the Lauren situation and stuff. So it was good to kind of, I guess it was good for her to have a second opinion and somebody outside who was watching them, and the fact that he was literally spot on is also quite interesting as well, that he saw that from very early, and only now we're kind of seeing the ramifications of Dave's behavior. And obviously, alternatively, yes, we didn't hear Jamie give Adrian any hard truths. I guess maybe she has probably given him enough during the course of the season. Probably thought and also because she also probably needed it more. Probably needed more of those things. And I think at this point, I think she recognized that unless Adrian's doing something nasty, let's be honest, Athena's not going anywhere. So she's done her speaking, you know what I mean? And so I think that was a big thing for them as well.
So as I said, we don't know what happened with Adrian and Athena, how they came to be, and the experts aren't pushing them. I'm just completely confused with them, but we will keep them on their merry way. And we have home visits next week. So we will definitely see how that home visit is going to flesh out, because they're in two different corners of Australia. And of course, Athena has a life with her son in one area. So we will definitely see that. So the next couple we see for the commitment ceremony is Veronica and Elliot. Elliot was linked with Rye and Veronica with Dave. Veronica was ecstatic. She loved her week with Dave, or I should say the 3 days. Dave was calm, cool, chill, and Elliot loved hanging out with Rye because she was kind of open, and he was doing a lot more, bought her fruit, played games with her. But one thing I noticed when we got to the couch, Veronica and Elliot both crossed their left leg over their right. And I was like, y'all are a little more in sync than y'all are paying attention to, because I was like, that is a little telling to me. But he believes that, he's not telling her that she thinks she's too smart, giving a little, gripes. But we saw it on camera, Elliot. We saw you tell her she thinks she's so smart. We did see it. So it's a case of Elliot is open to others and not open to the criticism from Veronica. So is it a matter of who is the messenger, or is it that the whole message is just not reaching each of them? Koja, what are your thoughts on Elliot and Veronica?
Yeah, I mean, I think he forgot that he actually said that. I think he got into the midst of the battle, and I think he forgot that he actually said that. So I think that's why he probably didn't say that he said it, because he does tend to say things directly and remember that he says them. So I think this was a moment because he's been getting bad, and I'm not to even defend him, just to say that I think he's the first time he's really been on the back foot in his life, where you're every week you're wanting to try and make things work, and the person's pepping you. So I think he made a mistake on that aspect. But what I would say is, and again, obviously that's another thing as well. Sometimes And of course, it's very difficult because you might deal with someone who's narcissistic. So you have to be very careful. But sometimes you just need to accept that the person said that and to say, hey, look, you know what? I don't actually recall saying that. If I did, listen, what I've said, I actually apologize. I shouldn't be saying that. And sometimes that kills the argument because sometimes what you may not remember. And in a midst of a conversation that you may have been speaking for a long time, you may think that you are probably the most direct person who always says what they say, but sometimes you don't realize people will be saying some stuff, and we've all done it. So sometimes you just need to just apologize, say, "Hey, I don't remember recall saying it, but it's listening to what you're saying. I'm really sorry for that. I shouldn't be saying that." Now, it will have no skin in your game. You don't get hurt from that. If you don't remember it, you don't remember it. You know what I'm saying to you? So it takes nothing away from just apologizing and saying you're sorry for that particular aspect. I think obviously with obviously with Veronica um, and Elliot, the truth of the matter is that Veronica is an actor. I'm sorry, I just have to say it. She's an actor. She's come here to get a role. She's playing villain princess, and is trying to get some extra roles somewhere else on Australian TV. But the second thing also is that she was compromised, right? Because in the very beginning she was, happy-go-lucky, this kind of person, and then when she realized that he, of course, and again, he has to take accountability. We said this last week that he did what he did with Lauren and the way he treated her. In her mind, she said, "It will never be me." And her trauma that she has already is what also was responding to Elliot. Is that anytime he says anything, she's looking at it from a lens of her trauma, which is, I will never be spoken down to. I won't have my boundaries broken. You're not going to do me like you did Lauren. It can never happen. And so every time they're having an argument or disagreement, she's already in his face. Now, Elliot has I would say, a very I'm going to say direct. Sometimes he is sarcastic, and that is what is also frustrating. So, like, if you ask me, is the sky blue? Like, you asking that's going to trigger somebody, it's going to annoy somebody because you're actually insulting their intelligence. So he has to take some accountability for that. Maybe a little bit more deeper work on that. Maybe if he looks back at the show, he'll realize that he actually plays a role in this aspect. That because because he's sarcastic at points, that someone can't take you seriously for what you're really saying. It sounds insulting. I think the flip side of that is Veronica doesn't take accountability. I mean, she has come in so strong, so heavy. And for instance, when the group was saying, "Hold on a minute, babe, you wanted to play games," but he did it with Rye so easily, and we could tell it wasn't like he was trying to do it as a one up, like Jeff was trying to do. It wasn't a one up. It was just him genuinely trying to connect. Um, and she couldn't even see that. Hold on a minute, but you've never played games with me, yeah, because you're not a safe space at this moment, baby. And instead of her to reflect on herself and see the group are now telling you that you're also looking some type of way too, right? That he had evidence because he had played games with everyone else in the group and he hasn't played with you. Yeah, look at yourself. And I think that's where Veronica really has to do some work for herself. Self introspection, start looking at where you contribute towards this. Every time the situation happens, you leave. Yeah, we ain't gonna get no resolution. So I think Veronica needs to work on that. And obviously her switch with Dave must have been really, really good. And I think personally that something went on. Okay, all right. I think something went on in that bed that we didn't see because y'all didn't have no pillars between the two of you, and pillars never stopped anybody because that's how pillar talking happens. But I mean, listen, something definitely went on because the way that Dave has switched, it has nothing to do with Jamie. Something went on in that bed, even if they didn't have full on intercourse. That energy that Dave has suddenly is that when you messed up. And if you ever cheat before, if you haven't cheated, you don't know. But if you've cheated before, when you've messed up and you've messed up bad, and then you can't look at the other person properly because you feel guilty. Yeah, sometimes what ends up happening, you start mistreating that person, getting into an argument. You go cold because you're not sure how to respond to them because you're just not even sure what happened to you. So yeah, I think something will happen. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's my thoughts.
Even if something didn't happen then, even if it didn't happen right away, I more think that, just the calmness of a relationship where you're not in a battlefield, you're not with a woman who is fighting with everybody else. You could just sit and have a beer with and not think about or talk about anyone else. And for Veronica, when this is a partner swap, when Veronica was there, she didn't have to kind of what they would say is pull teeth to get, a response or to get, a lighthearted nature from that person. And that's, for me, that's the difference between a relationship and a friendship. But it feels like Veronica is looking more romantically at what a friendship with Dave would be. What are your thoughts, Life is Reality, on Veronica and Elliot and their partner swap for the week?
So I kind of see it slightly differently. I think Veronica is very abrasive. She's very quick to get hostile towards Elliot. She doesn't like that man. I'm sorry. I haven't seen them get along for too long without there being a flare up. And I think he just naturally triggers her. It doesn't matter what he says or does, he's in the doghouse. She's willing to flip over everything. Now, you contrast that with how she was with Dave. And this is why there is rumors that something happened, because she was not in Dave's face whatsoever. So it's definitely a case that it's an Elliot thing only with her. Now, when they shared the bed, I was quite surprised because up to that point, I had thought Dave and Jamie were solid kind of thing. I know, they may have been having the start of what was to be their demise of the relationship, but I was really surprised at how quickly Dave realized that, listen, Veronica's a lot calmer. She presents herself a lot differently to Jamie. Um, Jamie is in everybody's business every week. I'm having to say, you know what? I stand by what she says. I'm sticking by her. He's not necessarily giving his own opinions. He's just going with her, right? And now it's come back to haunt him because their relationship, when we get down to it, that's pretty much done. So Elliot, I think he's just been having to fight all the time with Veronica, and he's checked out, and that's why they both had to leave this week. So no home stay for them. And they both wrote leave, and rightly so. It can't continue the way it has been going. That's not love, and that's not what love looks like. And there's no accountability on Veronica's side, particularly to make it work. None at all. She sees that she's done nothing wrong. Even simple things like the card game. Not only did he play cards on the partner swap, but the rest of the group also confirmed that he was playing chess, Connect Four, a load of different games at the retreat with the other couples. And that's something that he was doing because that's his way of breaking the ice or building a rapport, friendship, whatever the case may be. So Veronica, I could see why he felt like he was being gaslighted when she said, "You've never done that with me." That's it. You've never presented yourself calm enough for us to do the fun things in the relationship. Every time we get together, it's just too combustible for Elliot to really show sides of himself that would put him in a better light. He's always on the defensive, which is a complete turnaround because obviously when he came back, everyone had him as the villain because of how he treated Lauren. And as we saw, Lauren unraveled and she's had to go home and she created quite a toxic atmosphere in the group. So they easily saw that she wasn't this Miss Innocent that she portrayed herself. And then in this situation, he started off thinking that he got what he wanted, and it very quickly went downhill. So, it was time for them to go home.
Well, the experts figured that Elliot did have some growth. He did, come outside of the box because he had a one-on-one with John before. My thing with Elliot is that I now understand him more. I think, Veronica is at a point where him playing card games, playing Connect Four may seem immature to her or may seem unnecessary to her. But if that is the level in which your partner wishes to connect, that isn't a problem at all. You know, you try the card games he does, try the games, and sometimes people just need the games to take them out of a mental, capacity where they're thinking about all their responsibilities. The game is their calm place. And that may be it for Elliot. And I don't think Veronica wanted to get him there. She wanted to stay at an elevated position. And I think they just needed to meet each other where they were. And I'm not sure how much she did try, but I will give them the benefit of some doubt. Now, the next couple, which we have seen all kinds of how can I say it? Ups, downs, mood swings with them, is Jackie and Ryan. Jackie was placed with Jeff, which was diabolical. Production. Jackie already told Ryan that she preferred Jeff. She already tried to text Jeff to meet without Rye, his wife. So this is diabolical, y'all did this. And then Ryan was placed with Beth. Beth was very vocal with Ryan about him withholding himself on gym day. So y'all were trying to set something off with both Jackie and Ryan by placing them with these two folks. But Jackie's thing is that Ryan's translation of masculinity doesn't meet with what she believes her, leader in her household, her husband should be. She asked if he would be a stay-at-home dad. He said he felt very insulted. She felt that he would not feel like he was enough if she made more money than him. And, he pushed back saying he bought his first house before he was 30, which she did not. So there was a kind of push and pull. But more importantly, Ryan's letter was an admonishment of Beth and her questions about his relationship. It was like, do you think this is how you behave on the outside? More than asking for her advice. So they didn't get pretty much anywhere. Koja, what were your thoughts this week on Jackie, Ryan, and their partner swap and their commitment ceremony?
Yeah, listen, Jackie and Ryan, like I said, they're gonna hold up strong. You know what I'm saying? To you, they are a toxic, bad couple that are gonna keep on going to the bitter end. But I think once more again, I have to commend Ryan. I mean, he has grown. I can't believe it because it wouldn't be me. But he has needed it because actually I think there are some areas of him which is very hard and unmalleable and inflexible. Okay. And what I saw from them from Ryan was that when he went with Beth already hated his guts, so there was no going to save in that situation. Beth didn't help herself either because you involved yourself in someone's business that was not supposed to be. So this was never going to be a good swap for both Ryan and Beth until they actually hashed out their actual issues. But maybe that's an indication on both of them for not actually hashing out their issues, and also for Ryan as well using his time to ask questions, which, bro, what about the past rather than actually trying to again learn something new. So Ryan again wanted to prove a point. And so that is something that he needs to work on. I think obviously with Jackie and Jeff's connection. What did she learn? All she learned was somebody who's going to bow at her whims, and she would have an absolute person who's not a king, but somebody who's underneath her foot, someone who's a servant and a maid. That's what she learned, right? And that she gets her own way again. So to be honest, both of them never really learned anything from their actual swaps properly. Now, the letter that was sent, again, you can always take a silver lining out of bad situations, right? The letter that Jackie gave, as a partner, husband or a wife, and I'm surprised the experts did not pick up more on this. To the letter that Jackie gave was one that would crush anybody. You know what I mean? Like if you really care about your partner and they wrote a letter like that, how is that going to encourage me to want to improve? Right. So I thought the letter was condescending. I thought the letter was belittling. I thought the letter was unbefitting of what you were trying to achieve, which is trying to get the other person to see a different perspective. I feel like Jackie's a bulldozer and continues to bulldoze, and then she won't learn until she gets somebody who all too does the exact same thing as her, and calls her out the same way. Because Ryan's way of calling her out is very blunt and very abrupt, and then it causes he lose momentum because then the focus becomes about the way he addressed it. When she finds someone that's able to tear her down the same way she has without actually making it look like they're the bad person, she's gonna find out how annoying that is. It's very annoying. It's very frustrating. But fair enough to Ryan, he took some parts of it as well. That there's some areas of growth that he can take from it. There's some areas of things that he can improve on, and I think that was very mature of him. And I think it's the right way to have gone about it. But yeah, both of them, what did they really learn? Nothing. That's why when he came to the table, he couldn't say anything apart from Ryan saying, "Yeah, I took some stuff from what your letter was." But we did see a very vulnerable moment on the sofa, finally, from Ryan admitting that all those things do make him feel like he does not measure up. And I think that was very befitting as well. Whether she's a safe place to receive that in the long run, it is yet to be seen.
He said he felt judged. He felt she was reducing his character. He felt inadequate. And I wonder if it's because Jackie does have her law degree. She is a lawyer in Australia, and Ryan is a self made man. So I'm wondering if that played a part in it. What is your thought? Life is reality.
Yeah, Jackie has been emasculating um, Ryan for a long time with very condescending remarks and put downs. He has been putting his foot in his mouth with the way he's addressed himself in certain instances, but that doesn't validate or vindicate Jackie from the way she's behaved. I still think she's very awkward, not only in her personality, but it must be very difficult to deal with her day in and day out. Um, the type of stuff she says, like she won't, like basically, um, they're very triggering for him. You know, she said, you know, she basically saying you're beneath me, and I want you to be a stay-at-home dad and or stay at home while I go out and make the money because you ain't cutting it. And you know, to someone who has built his own business or built his empire, you're diminishing his efforts and his accolades to a degree. Now, yeah, I even though they decided to stay another week, yeah, I don't know how they survived this long, to be honest. Um, Ryan needs to wake up. This is Jackie. She's not going to change. And do you want to deal with that every single day? All right. Because sometimes it's not even anything that he's done. It's actually her giving her opinion on what she thinks about him. And sometimes it's just not, he hasn't asked for it or it's not warranted, the level of which she's going in on him. So it automatically puts him in a state of, I can't believe you just said that. You know, you've got no self-awareness. Don't you realize that some of these words are very cutting and they're you know, they're hurting me, you know? And if you cared about me, why do you keep doing it? And she sees nothing wrong. She just sees herself as, listen, I'm allowed to express how I feel. And if it hurts you, then tough. That's just how I feel. So that's the rigidity that I am particularly having a problem with Jackie. It's been like that the whole time. So, you know, like I said, I don't know why they keep writing stay. It's really time for them to go. It's been overdue. It's not going to work.
I don't know why they keep writing stay. We also find out this week that Jackie has been buying herself flowers. Okay. We find out she's been saying it's Ryan, or she says she's been getting flowers, but not who bought it. Also, Ryan, the inflexibility, the thing is, maybe he has a standard that he doesn't want to be a stay-at-home dad. There's nothing wrong with that. I think for both of them, it's how they present their standard or their, preferences to their partner. It could be, hey, my vision for my life is not to be a stay-at-home dad, but if that came, around, I'll be able to step up to the plate and do what my family needs. I think both of them feel like it's a battle. Like I need to one up. So I need to tell you that Jeff is making me eggs so that you can make me eggs and steam my dress. They're just fighting. And maybe Jackie thinks they're in the courtroom, and maybe Jeff thinks they're in the boardroom. But again, it's not a battlefield, y'all. Y'all are in a relationship. Y'all are together on this. And I'm like, it could be so much better if y'all communicate, and it'll certainly help the next relationship, but they should not be together. So the next couple, I know Life is Reality will come back. Our next couple is Beth and TJ. We just said Beth was linked with Ryan in the partner swap, and TJ was linked with Karina in the partner swap. We didn't really hear much about their honesty letters, quite frankly, because Karina was a little too distraught in her. She was a little too distraught in her conversations, and I'm not sure with Beth and TJ. Like you guys said in your summaries, I don't think TJ really likes Beth like that. He's saying he's attracted to her. He has, kissed her, but Alejandra said, hey, just find other romantic ways to make her feel desired. and I don't think he wants to be there, quite frankly. What are your thoughts, Kojo, on Beth and TJ?
Yeah, it's taken a sad turn, hasn't it? Really, from the moment of wedding, obviously was a high, and then we're at this low of lows. I want to be very fair to them both. I think there is a little bit of both. Two things happening here, right? Which is that I don't know how much attraction TJ actually has, and then also as well with Beth, I think she also sometimes I don't know. She just feels like she's a little bit low on confidence, and so it just becomes unattractive. So it then becomes this kind of cycle. But I do feel like obviously when they asked TJ about you know her, okay, you know when someone is not truthful when they have to explain long. Like if I ask you, do you like me? Well, the thing is about this. Well, listen. As soon as you start with as soon as you start with, let me just say this. Let me just when you have to put disclaimers as a answer before you answer the question, just know that the person is not telling the truth. And you should stop listening after the very first few words because they're not telling you the truth. Because in reality, like I said, if I like you, I like you. I'm gonna say it straight. Oh, do you like me? Yeah, I like you. Now I might say after, but you're annoying. So you know what I'm saying to you? The but comes after you've already answered the question. And so only politicians answer questions in this way. And it's because they're lying and they're trying to spin you a story. And so when people are not direct and to the point, there's more to the story. So do you like me? Yeah. So I find you attractive. Hell yeah. Like, anything else is a no. Okay. All right. And it's a very long story. So yeah, with TJ, yeah, I like him. But I think he needs to start being honest that he's struggling with the attraction piece. Then we can start working on that. This relationship might not go anywhere, but then we can start working on it. I think this is also a very important thing. If he can say it and admit it, then he's going somewhere. Then it's like, okay, look, we might just be friends, but at least we can start working on some emotional aspects. Because now you said, obviously, I'm a person who's and I hate this. Men and women are liars. Most of them, 90% of people that have you noticed that we hear this a lot on TV shows now? Like it's the gaslighting comment where it's like, I need an emotional connection to have sex. You're lying. Okay? You don't. You need attraction. That's all you needed. That's all you needed. I can tell you that for free. I'm going to tell you that for free. Anything else is a lie because what people really want, what some people might have a hesitation because they don't want to seem like a hoe, but really and truly, they would do it right there and then if they could, if it wasn't for social cues. So that's nothing to do with emotional connection. That is solely to do with the fact that they're going to get judged. So all of these stuff when people talk to you, I need an emotional connection to really have sex with you. You're lying, and I need to stop. Yeah, cut the crap.
So with the whole, all we need, I guess, is biology and functioning working parts. Okay, that's what we're saying. So TJ, I don't think he really likes Beth. But remember, Beth has never had a relationship. Beth has never had a relationship, and this is her first. So what do you think life is reality? Is it that she's overthinking this because it's the first relationship? What's going on with Beth?
There may be an element of overthinking and trying to tread carefully to make sure that this is perfect and probably her dream wedding, her dream situation. But like you said, she's going from no dating experience straight into a fast speed dating into a marriage. So, but that doesn't excuse the fact that TJ is not attracted to her in that way. I disagree with Koji on the piece about the emotional connection and wanting to and tying that to intimacy. I think there are some people who need that. I won't go too much into detail about that, but no, it ain't just about looks. Sometimes, in this case, there is a glaring. You can see that TJ isn't feeling her, and I guess I'm trying to skirt around the fact that Beth, she's I wouldn't class her personally as standing out as being one of the more attractive ladies on the cast. So if TJ's feeling that, he has to be able to kind of get over that and try and make the marriage work. Whereas we can sit there objectively and say, okay, well, there's other ladies that look better. He can't say that. So he's in a situation where he has to just ride it out and see if there is other things that connect them other than the physical piece, because that's not there. So in order for him to be amorous, affectionate, intimate, all those things, it's going to take more than just the looks. He's going to have to try and overcome that part. So yeah, I hope I wasn't disrespectful or anything, but yeah, I just think that attraction is important. Intimacy is important. There are so many factors that make a relationship work. That doesn't mean that all of them work to the same level, because you may have to overcompensate on some areas because some areas are not up to the level where you both would like it. But I don't think it's going to work, to be honest. Like I said, they've come in late, and the instant attraction isn't there. So it's going to take time to develop the other things, and they don't have that time in this experiment.
And I understand. And what I guess Kojo and I are talking about is he did go there with Beth. They have slept together one time during the honeymoon. Maybe he was swept up in the whole honeymoon wedding of it all, and now he has had PN clarity. Okay, so maybe he's just like, I just think he's lying to us, saying that he needs time and he, wants to, build a more committed relationship before going physical. If that was the case, TJ, you should have done it in the beginning. You should have done it from the start. Go ahead.
I'll just say, listen, there is such a thing as buyer's remorse. All right. You can purchase something, take it home with you, and realize you don't want it no more, or it doesn't satisfy the need of why you went and bought it in the first place. So you got to take it back. All right. It happens all the time. That's why there's returns departments in superstores. Right. So I think even if they have been intimate once, the fact that it hasn't continued or progressed, that's telling. All right. Yeah, I mean, it might just be one and done. Yep. Okay. I've seen her naked. We've tried. I've tried. I got into the romantic spirit of getting married and everything. But since then, it's been downhill. The attraction just hasn't been the same or increased. So that to me says TJ he ain't feeling her. And I think they're going to need time to develop the other aspects, and they don't have it.
That boy was never liking her from the very beginning. I'm gonna be honest with you. That boy did not find her attractive from the jump. And you know how you know? Because men and women, even when the person's bad for them, will stay in it a little while, enjoy the fruits of the labor, and then quit. There is none of that from him. He hit a one and a done. That is indicative of somebody who said, you know what, I don't find you attractive. I'm gonna hit it once. Let me see what I want. Maybe something will change. We've all said this, like, oh, maybe I'll feel a bit different after. And after you feel sick and to your stomach, and you're like, why did I do this? Now you hate her because you hate you for doing it. So really and truly, TJ needs to stop lying, using those green ass eyes of his to try and suck her back into a game. You don't find her attractive. You never did. There's nothing that she said or anything, because like I said, when you've already gone that place, that's what I said about the emotional aspect. He's already gone there. So you've already gone there. So the reality of the situation is you've already started on high. So why are you quitting all of a sudden to not have sex anymore? Right? And we're saying, oh, it's because I don't feel desired. You're lying, because she's ready to go again. So she's never said she's not ready to go again. She's ready to go again.
So we have a question from the chat. It says, for the men, can physical attraction develop with time? Now, we have been back and forth on Little Black Book 91 about, growing in attraction. So y'all want to give us a summary? We clearly have two men of two different perspectives on this, which I love this, So life is reality. Can physical attraction develop? In the midst of TJ and Beth, we don't need your personal details unless you're comfortable.
No, I don't think the I don't think the physical attraction can develop. No, we're visual creatures as men. A lot of us are. So we instantly know who we're attracted to and who we're not, and we sometimes pigeonhole or put people in categories as to level of attraction. Right? That's just a guy thing. Unfortunately, we do it, even in 2025. But like I said, if the physical attraction is lacking and that's who he's been paired with, then they have to find other things to draw them, to bring them together. It's one-sided. So whereas he has the green eyes and she might think, wow, she's really struck gold, she's really lucky, she she's found someone who's fairly attractive, he doesn't reciprocate that. So I don't think that he can grow. I don't think that it's common for men to grow in attraction in the same way that women do. Women grow in attraction due to the level of service that's being provided by that guy. And that can make him attractive because there's a protection and providing element to what makes him attractive. With guys, it's much more based on the physical, not necessarily what you can do for me. So I don't think that's going to grow.
Well, it seems like, the green eyes, heading Beth way ain't growing in attraction. What Kojo summarized it. I know your viewpoints, but we have some new people in the chat that have not heard your voice on this. So give it to them.
I'm gonna say it straight. It can't happen for most men. 95, 96% of men, it ain't gonna happen. Okay, there's always exceptions to a rule. Most men can't grow in it. You have a baseline. So if I see you, I find you somewhat attractive. What's going to add to that attraction is when I meet you and your characteristics, your ambitions, your goals. Those things are additives on a foundation. But if I don't find you attractive, most men, yeah, you might have great character, all those things, but I won't find you attractive. There is an exception. When I call this, the exception is contextual. So, for instance, someone you might meet on a street to somebody you meet at work is very different because I have time to spend with you. So that could potentially be classed as growing, but it's in a sense of I've got to know you. I spend time around you, and actually, what tends to happen is what we call contextual attraction. So, if I saw you on the street, you'd be a 5. But then, because I work with you on a regular basis, I'm actually comparing you against all the colleagues that I work with. So now you actually might not be a 5; you might be a 6.5, just because of the environment you're around. Comparatively, you look better than everybody else. That's how people get tricked. Just gonna be honest with you, that's how people get tricked. That's how they end up in these relationships. Then they're crying after. No, I'm playing. That's it. But yeah, most men, it's not gonna grow. It's a foundation.
So again, we love, the thought that, there are two different perspectives from the men on the panel. So I'm hoping, ladies, that you would, I guess, get a good sense of whether the attraction is there. As Kojo got 95, 96%, and Life is Reality is saying, hey, it could, but men are visual. Men are definitely visual. So present your best self. So the next couple, unless you guys have anything else about Beth and TJ. The next couple we have is Karina and Paul. Actually, Rye and Jeff. Sorry, Rye and Jeff. Rye was paired with Elliot. Jeff was paired with Jackie. I still think Rye and Jeff are friend zoning each other. I know they're like the best couple. So, what are your thoughts, Life is Reality, on Jeff and Rye?
Yeah, they seem to be just coasting by, to be honest. And there's so much turbulence in other relationships. They're just like, at least we like each other. That's how it comes across. At least we're still in one piece. Yeah, I think they can work, at least make it to the end of the show with very little problems. The thing that I see is that Jeff takes a lot of glee from watching the demise of the relationships around him. He seems to be enjoying it, like so that's kind of weird. But again, it's like a level of smug attitude. Okay, you know what? As long as we're right, we can sit back and watch everyone else's relationship burn down to the ground. So, but in terms of their compatibility and their chemistry, as I say, they seem to be just coasting, not really getting into anything unless Jeff pipes up and adds his 2 cents on something. But yeah, they're just the least problematic of the bunch at the moment.
So least problematic. So with all of this, Jeff put his best foot forward with Jackie. I wanted to know if Jeff does this for Ryan unusual. This is what I was looking for Ryan to say, "Oh, he does that for me," or he doesn't. Um, and Rye certainly, kind of filled Elliot's cup when she was paired with him. What are your thoughts, Kojo, on Ryan and Jeff? Are they still in the friend zone, or are they progressing as they're trying to convince us?
I mean, they've had intimacy now, haven't they? They've had intimacy now, so there seems to be some kind of progress. I mean, listen, the body language looks good. Let me be honest with you. The body language does look good. I mean, when I see them on the couch, they seem to be right next to each other. Beforehand, they were on separate ends. He's got his arm around her. It does seem very, very comfortable. It just seems a little bit, it just seems a little bit awkward. That's the only thing. It just feels a little bit awkward sometimes when I'm seeing them per se. But they have seemed to have meshed and gelled quite well. My hope is out for them. My hope is out for them because, again, of course, the first time, they got together. I said it in the very beginning that when Jeff was talking about almost being in a friend zone or friend zoning her, whatever he felt like was, it didn't feel like a rekindling of a relationship. You know what I mean? Like, like we see Nelly Ashanti, like they rekindled and it's like instant sparks again. It's like they never lost that. And it feels a little bit like Jeff and Rye when they got together. This is what it feels like for me, if I'm really honest. Jeff got with Rye, didn't consider her to be a wife, was enjoying the sex. They did it for a month or so, and he was never thinking about ever wifing her. It's now awkward because he never had that vision. So now he's coming back. He's having to do backward work to try and make that work. That's what it feels like, and I think Rye does sense that a little bit, in that space. You know what I'm saying to you? So, because I'll be honest with you, because there are situations where you might have a situationship with somebody, right? A friend of benefit, but in the midst of that, your mind starts to change already. But it doesn't look like his mind was ever changing. That's why when he came back, it was awkward. Otherwise, it would have been like, you know what? Like Paul and Karina, it would have been like, oh my god, like yes, instant sparks. I like you, you like me. Let's go. It wasn't that, and I think that hesitation told me all I need to know. Like I said, he's going to struggle to make that work, and I think very similar to what Life of Reality said. I feel like Jeff is a little bit messy. I'm not saying messy, but he likes a little mess. He likes seeing other people mess up a little bit. I think he thinks he's a better man than he actually is because he's not doing all the madness what other people are doing. But he doesn't realize. I don't think he's really being fully honest. He's just trying to get through the process. So yes, he's got the model husband effect, I guess, in that particular aspect. But yeah, it was for me. I felt like he was doing a one up with the Jackie situation swap. I felt like he was doing the absolute most. Not saying that he doesn't serve Rye, doesn't. I'm not saying that he doesn't do those things, but it was definitely doing the absolute most. And it's almost like he gets a kick out of it, getting one over Ryan. I don't know what the beef is. I can't remember what beef they have. I don't know if it's because he told him to shut up and get out of his business. But yeah, Jeff does get a little bit of a kick on that. So yeah.
I think Jeff thinks he's one up over Ryan because Jackie prefers him. Jackie did try to, reach out to Jeff, and say, leave your wife home. So I'm thinking that yes, Jeff is presenting now that he is the better or best man out of the group because he isn't having the same issues as the other people have. And he's just there to support Rye. And Rye is in his thing, she doesn't rock the boat as much as the other ladies. So I agree with you that, hey, they were each other's rebound. They did say that in the past. So now I have to think of my rebound that I bounced away from as a forever person. That's why Rye, as Life is Reality said, Rye is like, I hope he's my forever person because she's kind of sensing this may not be it. So, I feel for Rye. I think she is really into Jeff and the future they can have. I just don't think Jeff is that into her. I saw the way Jeff treated Jackie is about the same way he treats Rye. There was no difference. So on to the next couple. I mean, it's week after week this couple is taking the hits. Karina and Paul. Karina was paired with TJ. Paul was paired with Athena. And that's why we have all the couples on the screen, you guys, so you can see everyone. Paul had a letter. He says that Karina is a bit judgy. And when he read the letter back to her, he left the word snob out. So he thinks Karina is a bit of a snob because she said she did not think Paul would date that caliber of a woman, meaning Athena's twin sister. So when he was paired with Athena, he told Athena exactly what Karina says. Karina feels unprotected by her husband. She feels like, hey, this was marital talk. This should not have gone outside of the pillow. And she feels like she is not safe speaking with him. And the experts brought up a great point. He did not think about how Athena would take this and the waves that this would create between Karina and Athena. And we've already had Athena's husband, Adrian, his sisters also gave that kind of comment about Athena. So last week we had Paul punching the door. Now we have him not keeping her confidence. Do we feel like this marriage is going to last? Life is reality. What are your thoughts on Paul and Karina?
Yeah, Paul definitely showed a lack of awareness. The ramifications that it could have had with Athena and the rest of the group could have been huge. He sold his wife out. The comments that she made, even though they were disparaging, they shouldn't have gone no further than the rim. And it was quite messy of him to say that to Athena, because Athena, as we've seen, gets very passionate very quickly when her feelings are hurt. Especially, she's very vocal, so it could have caused a lot of harm to the group. What is it with this season? Some of these guys and girls have dated each other before or know each other through other people before, so it does make it awkward. But yeah, Paul was definitely in the wrong for that, and the experts are making him pay. They're putting him on the spot, making him sweat, and obviously, more importantly, his partner, man. She's very hurt that he shared that, and she cares about how she appears to the group. By making that remark, it does put her in a bad light potentially. So there was a lack of covering, and she's right to call it out. And he messed up. They were going so well up until that point. So I think he needed to use more judgment, more discernment, and definitely not disclose those type of things that could have been harmful to both Athena and his girl. So, and not to mention, it could have soured his relationship with Adrian, his friendship. So he needed to be more mindful, and he wasn't, and he's paying the price. But that, I think it's just a blip. I think hopefully they patch it up and she forgives him. They both wrote stay this week, so they're hoping to stay and work it out.
It's hard to forgive someone who reveals a confidence, especially within a relationship, within a friendship. That will take time to rebuild. We don't know how much time they have. What are your thoughts, Kojo, on all the trips and falls this couple? Because I first thought, I'm like, he's all of a sudden using English is not my first language with the whole snob comment, but I hate to generalize, but it's a universal word, snob. Okay? So, Kojo, what are your thoughts on Karina and Paul?
Yeah, do you know what? There was a couple of things that were happening in between the situation which I wanted to address. I believe first and foremost, Paul, I actually understand where he was coming from, right? He wanted to address a current issue, and the letter was supposed to address an issue, but there is a way to address an issue. And I always say, if you don't address it well, it will undress you. And he was undressed. And so in this situation, first and foremost, we have to have context of the situation. Number one, you knew your girl was already feeling some jealousy, some insecurity about the fact that it was about the fact that you were dealing with Athena, who's a twin of the girl that you already had some relationship with of some sorts, right? So first and foremost, confessing anything to her that could be about your relationship you have not confessed to your girlfriend is an emotional violation. It's called emotional adultery. Actually, you're confessing things that you're confessing things to someone outside emotionally that you've never confessed to your actual wife yet. It's called emotional adultery. Don't be doing those things. So that was the first mistake. If he was going to share this thing in the letter of what things he wanted to say that were very truthful, I think he could have done it, but wrong person. Athena should not have been the person because she's actually tied. She's a twin. So what do you want her to do with the information? She's gonna have to go back to her sister, a twin sister, right? And then she's gonna want to confront a Karina, which now puts you in a difficult position. So that was the first mistake that he actually made, is that he put it into a trusted heir to somebody who was actually tied to the twin sister. Number two, I actually don't think the snob word is bad, but if you're gonna use it, you have to hold it. If you're going to use it, you have to hold it. You know what I'm saying to you? Because honestly, when he said it, I started thinking to myself, I remember dating a few girlfriends and they were like that. They're snobbish. They're very judgmental of other people. And I'm looking at them going like, well, how are you able to judge that person like that? Like, I get it. That person, like little things like that. But usually that's an indication about the person's insecurity. When they're very judgy like that, it's an insecurity of their own. So, that aspect where he said that she was a snob, I get what he meant. Just be ready that when you say those kind of words, that when it comes back to you, don't complain. Don't complain when they start using those heavy words too, right? Because he knew, and that's the thing that really even topped it off. When you started reading the letter to Althena, you even noticed that using the word snob was going to be an issue. You know what you could have done? Scribbled it out. You didn't read it to Althena. Why didn't you just scribble it out? This is why I'm starting to look at him a little bit, a bit dangerous. I'm looking at him like you're a very dangerous person. You saw that when you read it, you couldn't read it. Oh, that might be a little bit heavy. Okay, cool. I won't read that out. Okay, I won't read that part out. I'll leave it as what it is. Okay, cool. Then when you go and you get Karina back, you don't read it out, but you haven't scribbled it out either. So she's going to read the letter. What do you think is going to happen? Or you think you left it on the table by mistake? No, you didn't leave it on the table by mistake. You knew that if you leave it on the table, it's going to be read. She's going to go through it. You should be aware of that. I'm sorry. Don't pretend as if you don't know. You know. Okay. And then go into the experts when they're having a conversation. Now, what part I do agree with him with is that the situation got flipped. So instead of addressing both things, they only address one. And I find the experts duplicitous when they do this. It's just annoying because then the actual situation doesn't get solved. There are two issues at play here. Number one, she is snobbish. And that needs to change. Stop judging people prematurely, especially the fact that actually it was his ex-girl. So now it's not just an indictment on the ex-girl, it's an indictment on him. So you're actually not judging just the girl, you're judging him. You're saying that he has low standards. That's what you're saying. So it's not just an apology to Athena. She actually has to apologize to him. And I don't know if she actually apologized to him. And I think this is not the first time. This is when the punch in the wall situation happened too. There was an issue there too where she didn't apologize properly. So she's got an issue. There's some issue there where she doesn't apologize and take accountability for things that she does. No excuse for punching the wall and no excuse for writing a letter and saying it to a twin. So I just felt like the experts missed an opportunity there to really validate that aspect of his argument. The second thing they got right when they addressed him and told him about the contextual aspect where you're telling the wrong person this information. You know what I'm saying to you? And if Athena was really down for Karina, should have told Paul, you're telling me this information. You know that this is going to compromise me, and it's going to compromise your relationship. Athena don't have a care for Paul. Paul, that's why you're an idiot. You chose somebody who doesn't actually care for your relationship and definitely does not care for your girl. She just wanted to address the issue and have something to say because she still has a beef from the last argument. So you didn't even deep it, right? And that's where his selfishness came in, that's not considering the whole picture and wondering how this may impact his relationship and her. And my last sentiment to say is I'm scared of Paul because I can say it again, physical abuse does not start by being physical. It starts by being emotional. And so in this aspect now, we had the physical aspect where he was crying way too much. And then in this situation too, again, if you notice, he couldn't even really understand what they were really saying, number one. Number two, I don't like when he grabs her hand in between and puts it on. It's like he grabs her hand and he puts it onto him. Rather than just, if you're going to, like he does this really weird. I don't know how to explain it. It just feels weird. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I need to probably go and research a bit more. It just feels weird when I see him do it. It feels controlling. And I don't know how to put it effectively. So I don't want to say too much, but it's just when he moves her hand onto his lap to hold her hand. And it's like, you haven't really taken account of what you've even done. So how are you grabbing that? Yeah, maybe someone else can explain it better, but just that little piece there it's infuriating to me. And I think someone like Paul, for me personally, you are on that abusive scale. At this point, he's not off it yet.
I think for those 2 points, I think two things. Paul got comfortable with Athena. Since he had a whirlwind romance years ago with her sister, I think it's 2 or 3 years ago, he knows Athena. He said that. He has a certain familiarity with Athena. So I think he got too comfortable being able to talk to her about this thing. So I think the experts too kind of let it go because, Karina did apologize to Athena and she owned the words. But you're correct, Kojo. She did not apologize to her husband. She did not apologize for her husband, to her husband as well, for the judging. And he may feel judged. The other thing is, I know what you're saying. Him taking her hand, it's like she did not want to provide comfort. She did not voluntarily provide comfort. It's like he's taking comfort from her. He's drawing it in. And it could be seen two ways, but I do see what you're saying. He's like, I need comfort right now, but it seems very stiff. It seems very, like when somebody pulls somebody in for a hug and the person being hugged is really stiff. That's what I'm getting from that kind of connection from there. But I don't know where this relationship can go. I had high hopes for them, but we always have this with Married at First Sight Australia. A very smooth sailing couple all of a sudden takes a detour, and we're all along for the ride wondering what happened. What happened? And the next couple, we are knee deep in what happened. Jamie and Dave. Jamie was paired with Adrian this week. Dave was paired with Veronica. While Dave kind of had a stress-free week, Adrian told Jamie that, yeah, Dave is not attracted to you. If you're the one initiating intimacy, if you're the one chasing him and always affirming him, pouring into him, and he's not returning it, that man ain't into you. Sorry to say, your husband ain't into you. And that made Jamie confront Dave about his feelings. And Dave is like, he doesn't like how she came at him. Now, we did say this early on, Kojo, you and I. The way Jamie be battling is a matter of time before Dave is in her line of sight. And he was. And he's like, I don't like how you say this. But Jamie had some valid points. She doesn't like carrying this relationship herself. And the experts didn't like the fact that Dave has not been vocal to them about the issues he's been having week after week for 5 weeks. So now Dave is in a position he has to romance his wife to get back in her good graces. I just don't think Dave want to be here no more. I don't know. I just don't think. I think this was a vacation, but to give him some grace, Dave has a family member that is sick. He said that in the beginning of all of this. So maybe he's also feeling the pull to be with his family or connect with his family because of what's going on. Kojo, what are your thoughts on Jamie and Dave? We've had so many thoughts.
Yeah, listen. So the question is whether Dave finds her attractive. He don't, and he hasn't. He's been managing. And again, I go back to my very first statement, which is, if someone asks you, do you find me attractive? Do you love me? I mean, I shouldn't say he doesn't find her attractive. I apologize. Well, I'm going to say that he doesn't love her. He doesn't love her that way, right? It's what he agreed with. I don't know if he answered a question about attraction. I think he already said he does find her attractive. So I apologize. Let me rewind that. What I do find with Dave is that, and this is both, again, Dave and Jamie, is that Dave is a very nice guy, and that's his problem right there. Nice guys are willing to go along with situations that do not benefit them long term, because again, they're thinking about their short-term reputation and image. Okay, very quickly on, Dave got thrown into battles that he should have never been in, and he was getting plaudits because he was being that husband that was backing his partner. Now, here's my thing. I've talked about this before about communication between men and women, and I've said this already about people like Jamie. Jamie's issue is that she overgives and leaves no room for being given to. And then she gets angry when it's not given back to her. Well, how long is it taking for you not to notice that he wasn't given back to you, babe? And why are we fighting him now? This should have been earlier on in the season, but you was too busy fighting other people's battles. Like I said, get your head out of people's relationship. I told you and Dave, get yourself out of people's relationship because you're focused in the wrong place. Now, what Jamie had really good points. But again, once more, her delivery is always going to get her in trouble. Like so like for instance, the morning of the last episode, the morning when he comes in, right? And she's like, I expected you to come in here. You said you're going to fight for me. Da, da, da. Okay, you know what? Fair play. Dave didn't come in the right frame. But my thing is this: we don't know why Dave is acting the way he's doing. Have we found out? We don't know. Jamie, have you asked? No, because all you care about is that he doesn't love you the way you want to be loved, and that is where she got an issue. Self-focus. And it happened with the girls situation, the exact same thing, where it was all about, I've done this, I've done that, and they're not realizing that you are coming across a particular type of way and you're doing things nobody asked you to do. So now you're getting frustrated because it's not being returned to you. So did you do it because you love them, or did you do it because you're trying to prove something? And that then becomes a bigger issue. And I wish the experts picked up on it, but they didn't, because all they focused on was Jamie going off on one about how she felt, rather than looking at, hold on, we got a big situation here. This man seemingly was all into her, and now it's not into her. Dave, what's really going on? Let's dig a little bit deeper. Dave, what's really going on? Because Dave's energy was fine with Veronica. Suddenly he's not come back. He's not. So we should be asking more questions. What question did Jamie really ask, apart from, why ain't you loving me? Why is it I'm the only one that's giving intimacy? Why is it I'm the one that's always pursuing? Well, Jamie, when you start asking questions like that, you don't really want the answer. You want to berate me. You know what I'm saying to you? You want to make yourself feel better. You're not trying to find out why I am the way I am. And it's not a safe space at this moment, right? So I actually agree with Jamie's points. There's obviously been a behavioral shift and change. But because of her fear of being hurt and her fear of being betrayed and her fear of not being protected because, I don't know if her father didn't do it or mother didn't do it, whoever didn't do it for her in her life or whatever, she doesn't allow room for people to be able to actually express fully how they actually feel without jumping on them. In the morning when he came, she was all over him. Well, then get out then, Jay. Then get out then. I don't want to see you then, whatever. Now you kick him out of the room, the room or whatever. Oh, well, he kind of was already leaving, but, you close the door behind him and you're like, yeah. And it's like, okay, sis, here's your issue. You are climbing over too much. Give space. Let them breathe. Let them come to you. The reason why you never knew why he wasn't pursuing you is because you were so much pursuing him that you left no room for there to be a pursuit back. And when it comes to men and women and their dynamics, of course, there are always exceptions. In reality, though, women tend to try and give a lot, but it's oftentimes from an anxious space. So it's like you're trying to prove that you're worthy of love. So your giving actually isn't a real giving. It's like, I'm giving because I have to prove that I'm worthy of your love. And what that does is it puts a strain on the relationship. So the other person, if they're not a secure individual, what will happen is they start feeling like their space is being you're claustrophobic because you're not allowing for me to also give. Men actually want to give. They want to be in a position of giving. What Jamie's doing is robbing the opportunity for Dave to really give. So what did he do? Instead, he backs her in the fights. But in really and truly, he doesn't want to be in a fight. He doesn't want to be in arguments. I say that to a degree because he did do some aspects which were never really his. But I think that's his way also too of trying to prove to her that he likes her. So they both are very passive aggressive in the way they actually deal with situations. So yeah, I think for me personally, Dave is pretty much almost at the end done. I think he got some peace with Veronica and couldn't believe it that she talks so. And I remember we said this at the very beginning. Elle said Jamie talks way too much. I wonder how long before he cracks.
And Dave has definitely cracked. Even though he says that, he was uncomfortable with spots in the relationship, he doesn't know if he will get there to love her in the manner that she is loving him, and he should work harder. I don't think Dave has really expressed his feelings, where he is, what he's feeling in the relationship. It was more beratement by everybody. Why aren't you loving Jamie as much as she's loving you? Which I did not like. We have not figured out where Dave is, how Dave feels, and what Dave needs. Yes, she's pouring into him, but it seems like she's pouring into a cup full of holes. It's kind of like if you have the different love languages and you're speaking to someone not in their language. So, what is your thought, Life is Reality, on Dave and Jamie this week?
Yeah, I think Dave is checked out. I think he's done. He's finished. The reason why he doesn't articulate himself in the way he feels it because he doesn't get the opportunity, and when he does share anything, it's quickly pounced upon and turned into, well, why aren't you standing up for me? Why aren't you showing me? You need to prove it. You need to do that. It's always followed up with some critique of where he's falling short. And the other thing is Jamie loves confrontation. All right. So at first it was on Elliot. Then it became all about Lauren. Lauren exited the show. Back and forth with her and Karina. And then now she's finally turned on Dave. So where he was her ardent supporter, you know, her cheerleader, you know, he probably felt he was supporting her in her endeavors to try and get her points across in everybody else's relationship. But now she's turned her fire on him. So, and he doesn't know how to get out of it. So instead of trying, he realized that whatever attempts he's made, it just wasn't working. So he's shut down and checked out. Now, I do think that when he spent time with Veronica, as horrible as Veronica has been to Elliot, she wasn't that way with him at all. So it was like they both got a chance to be away from their partners and actually experience someone probably more compatible or better for them. So they put their best foot forward. Did it lead to anything else happening? Quite possibly. But Veronica has shut that down because she doesn't want to look bad. And Dave definitely isn't going to say it because of the way he's going to get annihilated by Jamie for doing that, right? Because that's cheating, right? So yeah, Dave's out of there. I don't see there being any way back for them as a couple because I don't even think Jamie's aware of how she come across. Even when Adrian was giving her the feedback, yeah, she seemed receptive, but that didn't change any behaviors though. She's still been railing in on Dave every opportunity, kicking him out the apartment and all these different things. In order for them to work, he'll probably have to turn into a constant apologist. Always having to apologize for offending her, upsetting her, watching what he says, walking on eggshells, you know, and she can't have it both ways. If she wants her partner to be expressive and communicate more, she has to turn the voltage down. She comes in too hot, too angry, too passionate. And I get it. You know, she feels like she was in love with this person and she feels used and betrayed and feels like he was faking the whole time. They've been intimate multiple times. And she may feel a connection through that too. I don't think their intimacy is enough to save their relationship, though. They may have had that interaction, but ultimately he feels like he's not being heard, he's not being listened to. And that also ties in with a level of respect as well. If you're not going to respect his opinion, then stop asking him questions. Yeah. So Jamie's a feisty one, and it's going to get tiring and draining dealing with someone who you have to constantly be putting out fires for or having to always have their back. Even if she's wrong and strong, you still got to have her back and support her as her man. And she expects that and no less. She doesn't, you know, if they've called it, you know, sat her down and said, listen, I think you getting involved in other relationships is too much, this, that, the other. I think he's attempted to do it once or twice already, very early on. And, you know, it didn't work either. So she's not receptive. She's got tunnel vision. It's all about when her emotions go a certain way, turned up to a certain level, then it's all about that. Forget anything else. Now make it up to me. You made me feel like this, make it up to me. You know, that's the type of attitude she has. So in the process of doing that, she's losing her man. And she may not understand or realize it, but it's so far gone now. It's too late to retrieve. This is the last commitment ceremony before the homestays and then the final decision. So, you know, it was going well so far, but that's because he was appeasing her. To a large degree, he was her cheerleader. And now, you know, there's not much time to salvage it. She said on the commitment ceremony, she's only writing stay to appease him so she can hold him to account for him trying to make it up to her. All right. That's the only reason why she wrote stay. So, you know, and yeah, he just doesn't seem like the type that has the fight in him to want to keep battling all the time. And I don't blame him. Most guys want peace in 2025. Jamie's the opposite. She wants to bring carnage.
Sounds like she's trying to hold him hostage for another week. What the chats are saying is they're reminding us that Jamie did say that he wasn't a very masculine man a few commitment ceremonies ago, and that Dave's face said it all. Do you think that is when the tide turned for Dave? Because he was certainly fine with the retreat. They were good at the retreat until everything blowed up. And it could have also been that he went to warn Clint based on the information by Jamie. Clint didn't take it. It actually changed his relationship with Clint. That also could have changed the tide. Dave is like, I ran into the fire because you told me, and look, I got burnt. So I do believe, but I cannot speak for the men. Telling a man he's not a masculine man does demoralize you a little bit. If we want to tackle that as our last topic with Jamie and Dave.
Yeah, man. Listen, first and foremost, Dave actually mentioned something very interesting because on the couch, in relation to that, actually, he said that he felt like Jamie was one that was progressing the relationship. I think that's Dave's biggest issue. Is that he's not a masculine man. I mean, he's not a masculine man. Probably shouldn't say it to your partner, because that will never come across well to question the masculinity. I can tell you for sure that will change you. I can tell you. I remember at 80. Let me not say the age, but when I was very very young, a girl did tell me, "You're just too nice. I like you, but you're so nice." And I was dating her, and she said, "You're just too nice." And I said, from that day, if that's what we're doing, all right, I'm going to show you nice. From that day onwards, it was warfare constantly. Me trying to prove that I'm not that nice, and I was manipulative. I was lying. I remember one time I even pretended to be on a phone call with an ex-girlfriend. I said, I'm going to prove you. I'm going to make sure feel that heat. So it does change you. Those words can very much change you. I loved her obviously at the time, but it does change you. It changes a man, because you think you're giving them love. It needs to be dressed in a particular way. Just saying someone's not masculine, not man enough for them, is very much going to send that man into overdrive, and it will always ruin a relationship. Ladies, I promise you now, there are certain words you can say "f off" before you say he's not masculine, because it will change that person completely. And I think obviously with Dave's situation, Dave has to take accountability for his own actions. When you ran into the fire, it's because you wanted to run into a fire. You decided you want to run into it. What were you trying to prove? That's where Dave has to do some accountability work and self-reflection. Why did you run into it? Why were you just following her lead? Why were you just running after whatever she said she wants to do? Why is it that you didn't? And remember, we spoke about this else at the very beginning. I said, why didn't you check her at the very beginning? Instead, you took her into a room, the very first one that ever happened, and it was like, I'm going to back you whatever you want to do. Yeah, because Dave, you like to follow. You're not a leader. So be honest with yourself, right? You're not a leader. Because if you were a leader, you'd have told her, listen, this is not helping us. So pipe it down. You're getting into a vexed tissy and it's not helping us. If he had shut it down from the very beginning, we wouldn't be here. But because he didn't shut it down in the beginning, and sometimes what happens is people have very poor boundaries, don't know how to say no. So what ends up happening, they end up following, building up resentment. And then one day it just, it's like a volcano, it erupts as well. So, I think he has to look at that as well.
Life is reality. Jamie telling Dave.
Yeah. Well, Coach, you're right. They wouldn't be here if he had pulled her to the side, because she doesn't want someone that's going to be domineering and overpowering in that space. The type of guy that she's looking for is someone that is going to literally let her run off and fight these battles, and he just supports what she does. She doesn't want to be stifled, curtailed, told to pipe down or anything like that. That would have started the animosity between them even earlier. But you're right. Dave has to take accountability for playing the position that he did, by going along with what she was doing and supporting her. He wasn't taking the lead. But as I said, she ain't looking for a leader. She wants to be the leader. She wants to be the domineering mouthpiece in that relationship. And I'll say this, like, there's absolutely no circumstance where you tell a man that he's not manly enough for you, or he's a boy, or you're going to son him, or anything like that. You can't tell him that and expect that to just bounce off of him like it's nothing. Yeah. You're affecting the core of who he is as a man by saying those things. And then because it's coming from someone that he's paired with in a relationship that he's expected to give feelings to, protect, provide, whatever he's providing to that relationship, you're expecting him to continue to do those duties while you see him as less than a man. So that's going to cause resentment ultimately and lead to him being checked out. That's the formula. You tell him that one time and that's done. Because in his mind, he's probably going to be thinking, this is how you view me, and it's never going to change. And also your behaviors towards him will become very resentful and even more aggressive, hostile towards him, because you don't respect him as a man. And if there's no respect, then it leaves room for more disrespect. So that relationship's in serious trouble. I don't see how they're going to pull that back, not just because of the time constraints, but because of the verbiage used and the actions, kicking him out and all these other things. Like I said, he's going to be a constant apologist. He's going to be walking on eggshells, all for the sake of trying to keep the peace, keep on her good side. And that never works, because Jamie's the type of person, if she gets in her feeling about anything, she's going off, and she wants her point to be proven. She wants him to support whatever it is, back her up. Even when she's attacking him, she still expects him to come over to her side of thinking rather than share his own point of view, because he doesn't respect it. So it's done.
Yeah, as the chat is saying that if Jamie will bark at him if Dave brings anything up. He's in the line. He's in her crosshairs right now. We knew this was going to happen, that when he's the center of her hurricane, that it will not be a great place to be. But, Jamie also is showing that she's not having a whole lot of emotional regulation. How are your friends? And I said this in my weekly recap. How are your friends going to come back to you if you berate them in such a manner? How is your spouse or loved one supposed to come back to you and be loving and lovey-dovey with you if you berate them in that manner? That doesn't give love. That doesn't give, you can come back and we can reconcile. You have to leave room for reconciliation. If you don't, then that's just going to have people keep on walking away from you, like Jamie is saying. So it's like Jamie needs to work on some emotional regularity. Paul has to work on it a lot. And maybe we could get a 2-for-1 special for a therapist. So, Jamie, you can certainly leave room, as the gentleman say, for Dave to come and be able to speak to you and help de-escalate you in some instances. Because when you were going off, Jamie, Dave just sat there mute, but he's certainly listening. Like Veronica was listening that first dinner party with Elliot and processing it. So, y'all, thank you so much for being here this week. And I want both of you, Kojo and Life is Reality, to let everybody know what you are working on.
Yeah, guys, obviously just I'll be doing my lives as scheduled. Obviously, Married at First Sight Reunion Part 2 is the last week this week, so we'll be doing that on Thursday and Wednesday night. Men's panel on Wednesday. Thursday night will be Married at First Sight Reunion Part 2, and then from then, obviously, because it'll be finished, we'll be doing men's panels on a Wednesday. So I'm getting the men together, have relationship talks with the men's as well. So it should be a good time going forward as well. My coaching is also starting to open up slowly. We fully opened in April, but we're starting to open up. I say it might even be May, to be honest, but I've opened up some slots for you guys as well. So we look forward to coaching some of you as well.
So with all of that, the coaching and everything, y'all, Kojo's going to be too busy for me to try and convince him to join me with Love is Blind Sweden Season 2. I'm telling you, it's spicy. It's real spicy. Only 4 episodes in. Life is Reality. What are you working on?
Yeah, you can find me on a few reviews here and there. Watching these reality TV shows in my downtime. So I'm not as active on the creator space. Wish I could be balling like my boy Kojo over there, but I'm just not quite there with the work ethic on the YouTube streets. Got too much work to do. London's crazy right now. But yeah, so I'll be definitely continuing the Married at First Sight Australia until the end. See who pairs up with who. Ready to love whenever we can get the conclusion of who gets sent home from these last two gents that got selected. And then obviously I want to see the end of that season through too. The Never Ever Mets is coming up. You might catch me on that too. But obviously pay attention to the scheduling of when the live streams are going ahead, and yeah, tune in and catch these different perspectives. And we appreciate you.
Thank you, everybody. As I said, Love is Blind Sweden. We have a cast of characters. We have love triangles. We have people asking for gluten-free, non-alcoholic beer, which I'd never heard of before. So there are a cast of characters. The first season was wild. The second season is turning out to be just as wild. And I'll be doing a weekly live. If you want to vote on the poll on my channel, it is a post asking if you want a weekly live or an end of season live. And so far, the weekly live is coming forward. Love is Blind Sweden. I'm telling you, everybody's like, here. It's good. It's real good. But thank you guys so much again. I will be here. I will be on Little Black Book 91's channel whenever we have Love is Blind, everything. Then I'm also on Another Round JS channel. We do a Friday evenings at 9 o'clock, usually after Ready to Love, but that is going on, but we may be there. So hit the subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know wherever I pop up, I'll let you know. And I see the weekly live is coming. So y'all, either it's going to be this evening, I'm going to pop up, or maybe Tuesday at 3:05 EST. I'll capitulate. Okay. So see you all. Thank you so much. We have next week is the home visits for Married at First Sight Australia, and that is going to be wild because the parents say if you're in my house, y'all cannot be in the same room. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.